Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Muy bien. How are you?
Good.
Welcome to the Stock Trading Recap. Obviously, trading education blogs. You can go right to the homepage and scroll down to get the daily blog posts of what we're about to talk about, or click over here on the word blog as well. So interesting afternoon. Um, about what we expected.
Yeah.
Some profit taking, some stocks that were strong that had room to go, got some follow through. One stock in particular that we were trading this morning, or at the very least watching quite a bit of on the short side, followed through in a monstrous way today. I hope everybody grabbed that one this afternoon. And I guess we'll talk about that in a minute. But what do you think about this gentleman on the screen right now?
Mr. Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, they had great earnings, but it had to be so picture perfect for you to get too much leg up because it was already up at these levels.
And it looks like the way it's drifting down, we might end up being close to where we started with all
And
that.
what happened last earnings is kind of we were in the same scenario, and I think they had great earnings, but they were up at all, close to all-time highs, and we ended up, I do believe.
Yep. So we closed right at 104 on the button, and we are kind of drifting down from where we were. Obviously, it spikes in both directions pretty dramatically. But look, I don't think anybody disputes how good the company is and everything. Obviously with all the subscribers and whatnot. But I think you're right. I think you hit the terminology that for it to have something significant where it's going to blow out and get one of these big gaps like we see in, let's say, Amazon or Google or one of those stocks, has got to do something so incredible outside of what they normally do. If not, it's just going to just keep slowly trending higher and be a great stock for your 401k, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, it really is. I mean, they beat on both the top and the bottom line. And they really, but they were up here at, close to all-time highs.
Yep. And it's look, a slow grinding up, move higher with consist. There's nothing wrong with that. We're not saying there's anything wrong with that. We're just
Exactly.
putting in the context of a earnings catalyst for something to day trade. That's all. We're not saying clearly it's a great company. We both obviously love it, but
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see where it ends up by the time tomorrow shakes out. So again, very much like Tesla, which we'll touch on, I guess next. Um, Nothing wrong with trading the gap, the catalyst. You just got to make sure that you can trade a news catalyst, especially an earnings catalyst. That's very, very different from just trading the charts. Want to make sure that everybody's clear on that.
Right, because especially now that it's up through all-time highs, you're just going to have to pick out levels.
Which actually, I guess we could talk about that. We'll talk about how to pick those levels out after we do a quick recap on the market. Inside of the previous day, so technically an inside day, technically got some selling that maybe a few people were looking for yesterday. But again, we had hedged it a little bit this morning. So look, everything's going up. Continue to trade it long until you see a reason not to. And I kind of think we got that reason today, which ties into what I guess we're going to talk about in Tesla, where we stayed below the opening price for most of the day,
Right.
and we made lower lows and lower highs with consistency. So there was really not as strong of a reason to want to bid today, as well as the market internals being on the same page as far as confirming the market going down. So in other words, as the VIX goes higher, and I know, Marion, you spent a lot of time this morning teaching everybody this, which was very relevant for the tape that we're in. When the VIX moves higher, the market should move down. And we actually had a couple of times yesterday and today where the VIX was going higher and the market was also going higher. So there was a disconnect. But today we did not have that disconnect. So how that translates into a trade for whoever's listening to this is when there is confluence or convergence, however you want to word it. I guess confluence is a better word, or we go a really short word and say when they're in sync. When they're in sync, you could be a little bit more aggressive. And again, aggressive doesn't necessarily mean more share size. It could be something as simple as holding longer.
Right.
So we got a little bit of what we expected in the SPY today. Well, I shouldn't say expected. We got what the market probably needs a little bit of, which is a breather.
Right. Although we got a few stocks that really, I mean, Netflix, Visa, all held up really well.
Good morning in Netflix. We've been talking about the 110 level for a while and the 115 level. Quite honestly, we got up into the 115 area today. But again, if you're having a hard time in this environment, it's probably because you're spending too much time reading what the market's doing and not enough time doing game planning on individual stocks. This is 2015, in my opinion. I'm gonna label it one of two things in January. It's gonna be the great trading range of 2015, or it's going to be the stock specific year of 2015. One or the other. But I guess for our purposes, with everybody who's in the live trading room with us, we're having an unbelievably good time trading stock specific. And if the market happens to be good, that's kind of like a bonus. So Netflix, and I guess getting over to Tesla, where the opposite of what we were saying about the market getting below the opening price, you can see Tesla stayed above the opening price the whole day. And that was really the reference points that we were telling everybody to pay attention to. Once the stock opened, we had a reference point here, obviously well above the previous day's high and low, which is what we normally use. So then at this point, you had to trade today's high and low. So this point and this point would have been a reference point to tell you whether or not you should be adding to new positions or initiating new positions. So we basically traded inside the first hour for the rest of the day. So it was a little bit difficult to get a little more aggressive outside of that window. And you can see why. I mean, it was up 23% today. Obviously, there's a lot going on there. So what other stocks? We had TSO and VLO this morning as well, which we kind of felt that they were a little bit extended. Now TSO has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 out of the last 10 days positive above the open in TSO. And VLO is 9 out of the last 10. So a lot of buying going on in these stocks, but also illustrates what we said heading into the day today, Marion. If it's going up, continue to look for spot long until you see a reason not to. And again, sticking with the theme, this was above the opening price the entire day, so you've just been looking for spots to bid.
Right, exactly.
So you had to be on your stocks and knowing which side of the market they were trading on, and then only sticking to that stock, that side. Eliminate the other side. Only trade in that direction. And Apple's another one that we've been watching, has been behaving very, very well. The new levels that it's in is now between 120 and 125. Got a little bit of profit taking after having a nice run of basically 114 to 124 over about 5 or 6 days. You can see how far away the 20-period moving average is. So again, some of these, I wouldn't call them Apple necessarily a high beta stock anymore, but definitely a market stock. But some of the more conservative stocks like Starbucks, McDonald's, these stocks are all still in really solid uptrends. No reason not to look at them long. It's really just a question of what days does it participate. Like yesterday, Home Depot is a perfect trade on the long side. Today was kind of a do nothing. So you pick the ones that are trading well, and the other ones you got to let go. But something that we spent a massive amount talking about today was making sure that if you have a hard time finding something that matches your criteria, be ultra disciplined and don't force trades outside of what you define as a good trade, and certainly don't trade out of your comfort zone if a stock is not matching what you normally do. There's so much good opportunity when you have a clear strategy and the market unfolds according to those strategy. Don't force it just because the market's open. You don't want to do that. It's the quickest path to not getting paid, I guess, for like a better way of putting it.
Right, exactly.
We had some other stocks that we've been keeping an eye on that have been in the list pretty much every day. But we discussed the ag stocks a little bit this morning. CF we were looking at, Potash, and Mosaic. 2 out of the 3 gave us some pretty solid downtrends. The interesting thing is this is kind of what's driving some traders a little bit off the deep end from sending emails and whatnot, is where the stock is setting up perfectly. This is trending down. This is kind of going sideways, and then you get this one day that's like, what the heck just happened there? And then the next day.
You know what? Okay, whoops, sorry. I just want to say, I think we explained during the meeting that was earnings, and earnings a totally different can of worms.
Yep. Yeah, it's not the same as just trading off the charts at all.
Right, and I think people have to understand that, and I think I pointed it out this morning.
Do you get the feeling, Marion, from the people that we're working with, that not enough people really understand that there is a giant difference trading a stock technically off of earnings versus just trading a stock technically?
I do not think they understand it.
I kind of agree, actually. I mean, we put a lot of emphasis on it, and I can't stress it enough. And I think one of the ways that we explain it, which is pretty well, when you have earnings that and we're using earnings as an example right now, but let's just call it a significant news catalyst, just so
Oh,
there's a little.
that's a better term. I like that because it's all news.
Right, right, exactly. So it's not just earnings. When you have a significant news catalyst, the charts don't matter anymore. You're trading how price is reacting right then to that announcement, which I know you say as well in the morning, which is right on the money. You know, when an earnings, let's stick with an earnings example. When earnings come out, there are so many different ways of that data being interpreted. So
Exactly.
for you to be saying, I'm going to listen to the number and trade it, you're implying to yourself, I have enough skill to read what's going on right now and react within a really short period of time to outthink everybody else who has billions of dollars of research going into what that stock is doing. So I am not telling you not to. Okay. I want to make that clear. You know, we made a big deal about that this morning too. We're not telling you exactly where to get in and get out. However, what we are going to be very clear on when we do the recaps and we're in the room together is you need to be definitive about which battles you're going to fight as a trader. You need to know I am trading this price range, this volatility, this liquidity, news catalyst, not trading a news catalyst, gap up, gap down, long only, short only, both, you know, whatever it happens to be. The more clear that is to you, the easier it's going to be for you to make money. So I want to make it clear. We're not telling you don't trade this. We're telling you it's a different strategy than just trading the charts.
Right, exactly. I think that's really well said, and it's something that people really ought to, take to heart.
So we did have some other stocks that have been on fire lately that got a little bit of uh, a break today, for lack of a better way of putting, like CVX and Exxon and even PSX, which actually did head higher out of the gate and kind of ended up in a doji. Again, we talk a lot in the live trading room about having your tracking journal and following stocks from day to day. So these three stocks in particular, they had a really, really good run. Give them a couple of days, track them from day to day. And when you go through your game plan, make those the first stocks to say, all right, day one, day two, third day of consolidation, holding up on light volume, I'm going to look for these stocks to break out. So that tracking journal from day to day is important. What else anything else in particular you want to make sure we cover?
Um, let's see. I think no, that's I just think it was definitely one to kind of pull out of the market the stocks that were trading either on the short side or the long side the best.
Maybe give one final recap on the casino stocks and how we were interpreting those guys today.
Yeah, that's one that
we made it clear that when bottom, Head and Shoulders bottom, basically this is the neckline here over the 75. We basically got up in that area, and MGM new 52-week highs. Actually, let me zoom that one out a little bit here. So here is a year ago, so new 52-week highs. So it's a strong sector with room to go. That's the biggest thing we want to finish up today. So when you're looking at stocks, and I guess I'll stick with Wynn and we'll go to LVS, how much room do they have to the next level? So you should be tracking what it's doing now, which is a big down move, bounced in this area here. We're saying, okay, was this short covering or new buying? Did not retrace all the way down. So maybe we're getting a little new buying. We're kind of hanging out now, but above this level to this level has a lot of room to go. So even if you're day trading, you can trade it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, long only up into that level, or you can swing trade it up into that level. So we've identified a sector that looks like it's reversing this longer term downtrend and has room to go if it does turn around. So again, the oil and gas stocks in your tracking journal, looking for the next move higher. The casino stocks appear to be holding up and reversing the longer term downtrend. So start building a list of stocks that you can carry from day to day. And I guess maybe I keep saying we'll finish it up, but Goldman Sachs to me is sure interesting at this level where it's
actually, I agree with you.
Kind of holding up here. It's definitely got my attention. Yeah. You heard me in the meetings. I kept going back to it because I was afraid everybody's going to miss it when it had that one $3 bang through that level and finally followed through. We didn't get it today, but gosh, it's certainly in my tracking journal now from day to day.
Yeah, room to go. I agree.
Nice room to go. Good liquidity, and right on that level where we can keep an eye on it. So. Some profit taking today. Some interesting. Oh, actually, I forgot the stock I teased at the beginning of the day, VRX.
Oh, that's right. Yes, you did.
Let's drip on that. Look at that downtrend intraday today, and we were on that one.
You called that out. Pete was all over this earlier.
We were looking for this one. We had the V's today. The VRX followed through, but VMW did not. I was so convinced based on the charts this guy was going to go down after it gap down held and then kept consolidating here. But you know what? Trade in the other direction. So if you took the short anywhere in here and it didn't make money, big deal. Part of doing business. VRX actually did follow through and some pretty clean moves there. This stock has a massive average true range, but I think it's a little bit skewed because of how much it's fallen in the last month and a half. You know, it was 245, and now it's under 100. It's a massive move in about 6 weeks.
Well, it really is.
So the average true range, which right now is 1722, it might be a little bit skewed because of where it was, but gosh, if you could manage your risk and handle decent, and look, I mean, we're talking about the 10-minute chart. It's only a 50-cent trading range. That's not that much at all. 50 cents.
No. Yeah.
To manage intraday, to put a stop loss in there, to maybe be risking $1 for a potential like we had here, $3.50 to the downside. That's it's definitely worth to give a look at the stock. But again, putting a caveat on the stocks that we talk about, a healthcare stock and specifically a drug manufacturer is not the same as trading Home Depot at $100.
Right.
It's not. There's a big difference between a clinical trial being announced versus, you know, we have new nails in aisle 5. You know, so again, as a good trader, with everybody's trying to accomplish, you want to make sure that you keep refining how you want to run your business and which stocks you want to go after. So, you know, are you a nervous Nelly or conservative Kenny or you know, big risk Rhonda? It's up to you, but you have to decide that. Marion and I do our best to put everybody in a position to realize and recognize and identify what great scenarios look like, but then ultimately it's up to everybody else to, you know, to have that criteria in place of what kind of risk they want to take for what reward. So I think we're doing an awesome job, especially in the room, Marion. We're starting to get some really, really good interaction and participation back and forth, which makes it exciting to us.
Oh, I agree. I love the interaction in the room. I really think it helps everybody.
Yep, I agree. I agree. All right, so it'd be interesting to see how Facebook unfolds tomorrow, to see if we get a little bit more trading action from Tesla after the big gap today. I would think that we will. And again, the SPY, see if we have an inside day in the SPY, see if we break out of an inside day and give us another trend day, another light volume day in the SPY. If I'm not mistaken, we didn't do over 100 again.
Yeah, it's been really light volume.
Right now it's printed as 95.3, so maybe by the time all the dust settles, it'll be right at 100 or just below it. But by no means whatsoever is that really, really active. You want to see at least 150 million to feel like, you know, gosh, that was a good day, you know?
Right, exactly.
So, okay, Marion, thanks very much for sticking around. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, and have a good evening. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Join us in the room.
Okay, have a great night.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.